Hey there, it's Red. So today's video is a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a what's in my backpack back to school type of video. I always enjoy watching these types of videos, but everybody kind of prepares for school differently, so I thought I would just kind of show you what I do. First of all, I have my bag, and I like these better than the over-the-shoulder backpacks personally, and it fits my laptop in it, and it's kind of the perfect size, and I believe I got this at Tilly's like 2 years ago, and it is still in like amazing condition. I've had no need to buy a new one. So I am not a binder person. I don't know why. I don't like binders for school. They kind of drive me crazy. I feel like the papers always get messed up, and I don't really organize them properly, and I don't know. Binders they just don't work for me. So what I do is I basically live off of notebooks. Now sometimes I will have a different notebook for different classes so I can kind of keep the notes organized. It just really depends on the class and how many notes I take. So if I have one class where I take a lot of notes and another class where I very rarely take notes, then the odds are I'll just combine them into one, because I'd rather just combine notes from that other class into this one instead of wasting a whole notebook on a class I'm not going to take notes very much in. These Cambridge notebooks are my personal favorite, and I don't know if Costco sells them. I know Sam's Club sells them in packs, and seriously, I buy a pack of these and I live off of these throughout the year. They come with a folder in the front, which I really like because it's nice to just stick things in there really quickly. It comes with a calendar. Not that I ever use it, but we've even got a map of area codes. I don't know what I'll use that for, but it's there. The pages are perforated, that's kind of essential because I don't use the loose leaf binder paper. So I just tear everything out of my notebook. But I really like it because the paper in these notebooks is it's smooth, it's solid, it's slightly heavier weight than other notebooks. And I really like that. I'm very big on paper quality, and I love that about these notebooks. They're solid, and there's plenty of writing space on them. They're really big. I thought about buying like cheaper notebooks this year, and I realized just can't do it. I am addicted to these notebooks, these Cambridge notebooks. Another thing I always have with me are these accordion folders. They usually come with like these little tabs, so you can slide those in here and write with your subjects. And that's normally what I do, is I just write my subject on the tab, so each class has a slot. Except for some reason this accordion folder didn't come with it. I don't know if somebody took it out at the store. It's very possible, but it doesn't matter that much. Like, I'll remember the tabs. But any loose leaf stuff, syllabuses, anything like that, always go into this accordion folder. It is the best way to know how to keep things organized. I always know where everything is. All I have to do is look in here. I keep my entire school life in here. I always keep an agenda with me. This is not a school year one. I've used school year agendas in the past. Really, they're not any different. It's just the starting and ending points are different from regular agendas. But this one works just as well for me. And this really helps me keep track of both my class schedule, my work schedule, any other appointments I might have. And I know I have the one on my phone. I don't know, as much as I've tried to get myself into using the one on my phone, I just can't do it. I like to write things down. I love to write things down. I write my notes, everything. I write things down. It helps me remember things, and I just kind of write my schedule in there, and I don't really always write on the lines very much. I don't really follow the times on the lines. I just kind of write over it. I just make sure the day's correct. But especially during the school year, this helps me keep track of when things are due so I don't forget. I can plan around my work schedule, and it makes life so much easier. I don't have it with me right now, but I normally have like a small sketchbook that I keep in my bag with me, mostly because I'm a doodler. I'm totally one of those people that draws during class, and and rather than always doodle all over my notes, I usually just kind of have my notes on one side and then my sketchbook on the other, and I just kind of doodle in between the important stuff. Also, I am completely obsessed with gel pens. I don't know what it is. They are just absolutely my favorite type of pen to write with in general. I use gel pens for everything. Specifically, my favorite kind are these G2 Pilot gel pens. I even bought a whole other pack of them because I love these things so much and I want to make sure I have plenty of them. It's just, they write so smooth, and I'm definitely, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm weird because how a pen writes really bothers me. Like, I really like it if it's just smooth. So regular cheap ballpoint pens, they just kind of annoy me when I'm writing lots of notes, and these are just smooth and I like them, and they just, I don't know. But I am obsessed with these G2 gel pens. And then when I was school supply shopping and I happened to come across these are also G2 Pilot, or the Pilot G2 gel pens. But I thought these were just so cute. Like, I had to have these in my life. And for like $4 for all 4 of them, I color coordinate everything, which I will talk about a little bit later, so this kind of plays into that. But even if I didn't, these are just so adorable. I was like, I will find something to use these for. They're so cute. I always have mechanical pencils with me. Always, because you need pencils for tests, and it's really the only thing I use them for. I really don't like writing with pencils. I'm definitely much prefer pens, but tests, things like that, call for pencils, and you really can't be without at least some kind of pencil. So I always keep a couple of mechanical pencils in my backpack. I always have Sharpies. Now, this is less for academic purposes so much as it's generally for when I doodle. I am a big doodler, and my favorite thing to doodle with are Sharpies. So I always have plenty of Sharpies on me because it's a little ridiculous how much I still doodle at 22 years old. I haven't grown out of it yet. I don't think I'm going to. But skinny Sharpies, fat Sharpies, I have to have those Sharpies. Another thing I have is this pouch for, now most of the main pens, the ones I'll be using a lot, like for note taking and things like that, I keep in the front pouch of my bag. But I didn't really want it to be completely overcrowded with pens because I have a lot of highlighter. So I decided to get this little pouch, and in here I keep my highlighters and I keep my colored pencils. My colored pencils I actually bought, they're like the watercolor colored pencils, and I bought them from my college bookstore a couple of semesters back because I had finished a doodle and I wanted to color it in. So I just went to the bookstore and bought some colored pencils, and I've kind of just kept them with me ever since whenever I'm on campus because, again, it plays right into my doodling. I know I'm not the only person that does this. My best friend actually always has a box of markers on her when she's on campus because she doodles all the time too. So I know I'm not the only person that does this. Now, maybe this is kind of weird, but I actually have this sort of cheaper pen, which I don't even know where I got it. It's just like one of those regular Bic ballpoint pens, you know, that come in like the boxes. But I keep this in my bag, not because I ever really write with this, so much as I got really tired of lending people my pens that I liked writing with and then not getting them back. So if somebody needs to borrow a pen, I have this one in there because if they don't manage to return it, I don't care as much. And like I said, I know that sounds weird, but after several pens, it start to get a little pricey after a while. I don't want to be that person that doesn't give them a pen if they didn't happen to bring one, which I don't know why you wouldn't. But if it's just one of those fluke days and you don't have one, I don't want to be that jerk that doesn't have a pen to give you, especially when I have a ton of them. But most of the time I don't get them back. So this semester I'm going prepared. Highlighters. I always have plenty of highlighters because I highlight my notes like crazy. I am totally a color coordinated note taker, and I still have a whole other unopened pack of highlighters. I always like to make sure I'm super stocked on highlighters because I go through them like crazy. You don't even know. I go through them like crazy, and I absolutely hate it when I don't have a backup to one of the colors and it starts drying out because it messes up my whole system. And I'll talk a little bit more about my highlighting system, but yeah, highlighters are my best friend. Post-it notes. These are probably one of the most convenient supplies you could possibly have because you never know when you don't necessarily need a full sheet of paper. You just need to jot a little note. You want to put it on a page because it's an additional note. I don't know. Whatever you could use it for. I feel like it's one of those things where you're not sure if you're going to use it, but then as soon as you don't have it, you need it. So I always keep post-it notes with me. I feel like I shouldn't even have to explain why I carry this with me. Especially when I just talked about how I write everything in pen. Whiteout is my best friend. They have the little tape ones too, but I absolutely hate those. Like, they never want to apply right and they break and then they kind of peel. So I just stick with the regular liquid whiteout. That just works for me. And I always have these little post-it tabs. These are like the skinny post-it notes, and these are the ones that, these are like the more transparent page marker ones. I don't write in my books. Doesn't matter how much I hate a book. Doesn't matter how much I hate that textbook. Doesn't matter how ratted it is, if it's a used book. I cannot bring myself to highlight and write in my books. I just can't do it. I treat all books like gold. Like, I'm a booktuber. I'm a booktuber, and that stuff just, it drives me crazy. Like, I'm so good to all of my books, and I just cannot bring myself to deface them in any way, even for academic purposes. So when I'm reading my textbook, I want to make sure that I can remember things, because when it comes time to study for midterms and finals, the last thing I want to do is have to go reread whole chapters of something that I've already read. You know, but a couple months have passed and you're not always going to remember everything. So I go through, I mark pages, I mark sections, I mark the parts that are the most important. That way, when I go back to revisit it later for studying, I can skip the parts that aren't as important and just review the parts that are most likely going to be on my midterm and my final. So I almost thought I wasn't going to have an old textbook to show you how my tabs work. So I actually found an old textbook with all of my tabs still in it, so I'll be able to actually kind of show you. This is one of those loose leaf textbooks. It was my psychology book so this was actually an online class, and if you've ever taken an online class, you'll note that the textbook for that class is your best friend, because basically you're learning the subject on your own. And I haven't taken a lot of online classes, but this is one of the ones I did take. And since I was constantly having to reference this book even more than a normal class, I went and I tabbed everything. See, I switched colors for every chapter, and every section is marked with a little post-it tab. 2.2, 2.3. That way when I needed to get to it, I didn't have to waste time trying to find the page, trying to look it up in the table of contents. I could just go straight to that section. And I won't necessarily get this carried away with all of my textbooks. I had done it to this one again because it was an online class. I was constantly referencing this book. I was constantly going back and forth to chapters, and tabbing it like this ended up making my life a lot easier. You can kind of see all that. And like I said, this one's a little bit more excessive than my other ones because I was marking every section with this one, and I don't normally do that, but this still gives you kind of an idea of what I do. And normally, like, I don't have any in here anymore, but normally I might put like a post-it note actually stuck in here with a thought, with an arrow, something that tells me that it's important, or to remind myself of a thought that I had on that particular section. Now, I wish I could find a better notebook for you to show you how I do my notes, because this one got a little bit messy, but it'll give you kind of an idea of how I do this. Now, for my highlighters, every color is assigned a designated purpose. Like, blue might be names, and anytime there's a name in my notes, I highlight that name. That way, if I come back to my notes when I'm studying and I'm trying to look for a specific name, I don't have to read through all my notes. All I have to do is look for that particular color until I get to the name that I'm looking for. It's the same thing. I have a color for dates, I have a color for keywords, vocabulary, terms, anything like that. And then I have a sort of generic color for just, you know, key pieces of information that seem like they'll be important. These are notes from my Renaissance art history class from last fall. Normally my notes are a little bit more color coordinated, which is why I was hoping to find a different notebook. That semester I was a little less prepared and didn't have as many highlighter colors at my disposal, but this will still kind of give you an idea. Like here, we had to remember information on the Florence Cathedral. So the Florence Cathedral is the name of the cathedral, so I highlighted that in pink. And then in yellow, I highlighted the basic things I was going to have to remember about the Florence Cathedral. I highlighted. Lorenzo Ghiberti was also an artist that he needed to know, so I highlighted his name. And normally, because he's a person, I would have highlighted that in a different color, like perhaps blue or something like that, but I think I was limited to these colors, so I had to make it work. But normally I would highlight a name different than I would, you know, general information. Also, I realize this doesn't work with every class, but I do doodle in my notes. And not always just random doodles. Sometimes I actually draw pictures in my notes to help me remember. And this doesn't really apply to every single class, but for something like art history, this helped me a lot to jog my memory, because I remember things better if I can associate with them with something, especially something visual. For example, we were learning about the bronze cast doors by Ghiberti, so I just kind of drew a quick little doodle of the bronze cast door, so it helps jog my memory and helps me to remember what it is. It's right here. Perfect example of me getting bored in class and doodling. I don't know if this video was helpful to you guys at all, but I love watching those like what's in your bag and what's in your backpack videos. And since I know a lot of people on BookTube that either still in high school or they're college students, I'm always getting ideas from other people's videos and how they prepare for school. I am very interested in seeing how other people take their notes. Like, I don't know, that stuff is interesting to me, and I'm always learning, trying to go for little tips and tricks that make my life easier as a student. So I thought I would just kind of show you what I bought to get ready for the semester, kind of how I do my notes, how I operate as a student, because maybe that'll help you guys, maybe it won't. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will have more videos up soon. Add me on Goodreads, add me on Twitter, add me on Instagram because I have one, and I will talk to you guys later.